Look around any parking lot in America right now: the grocery store, the school pickup line, the office garage, and one vehicle keeps showing up: the Toyota RAV4. It is the best-selling SUV in the entire country, and millions of families are driving one home every single year. But here's the question that nobody at the dealership is going to ask you. Can you actually afford it? Not, did you qualify for the loan? Not, can you squeeze the payment into your budget? I mean, can you buy this vehicle, still live your life comfortably today, and continue building real wealth for the future? Because when I ran the real numbers using two of the most respected car buying frameworks out there, the income required genuinely surprised me. By the end of this video, you will know exactly what income it takes to afford a RAV4 the right way, what to do if the number isn't there yet, and the 6 levers that real financial planners pull to make this work in the real world. Before we dive deeper, let us know in the comments where you're watching from. We'd love to hear from you. And don't forget to hit that subscribe button so you never miss any of our upcoming videos. First, let's pick the RAV4 that people are actually buying. The base model is technically listed at around $30,000, but you will struggle to find one on any lot. Dealers barely stock them, and manufacturers don't really prioritize building them because most buyers don't want a stripped-down version. They want heated seats, they want all-wheel drive, they want the moon roof. So, the RAV4 most Americans are actually driving off the lot? That's closer to $38,000 once you add realistic trim levels and dealer markups. That's our number today. A $38,000 SUV, not a luxury badge, not a bargain basement, just the real-world version of America's favorite crossover. Now let's figure out what income it actually takes to own this responsibly. To answer this properly, we need a framework, actually. 2 frameworks, and they don't fully agree with each other. The first is the one you've probably already heard: the 20 to 4 to 10 rule. 20% down, a loan no longer than 4 years, and your total transportation costs, payment, insurance, gas, and maintenance must stay at or below 10% of your gross monthly income. This is the mainstream standard, the one that comes up on almost every finance blog and YouTube channel in this space. The second comes from the Money Guy show, and their rule is tighter, deliberately. They call it the 23 to 8 rule. Same 20% down, but the loan shrinks to 3 years, and the ceiling on your transportation costs drops from 10% down to 8%. They tighten both dials on purpose. They want you paying off your vehicle faster, and they want less of your paycheck locked into car costs, so more of your money stays free to build actual wealth. Think of it this way. The first rule is the popular standard, the one most people are vaguely aware of. The second is the wealth builder's standard, the one people who actually become millionaires tend to follow. Let's now run our $38,000 RAV4 through both and see what income each one demands. Starting with the 20-4-10 rule. You put 20% down, that's $7,600, leaving you financing $30,400. On a 4-year loan at today's average new car rate of roughly 7%, your monthly payment lands between $725 and $730. But the rule doesn't stop at the payment. Add insurance, realistically $150 to $250 a month. Add gas and maintenance, another $200 to $300. Your true monthly cost of ownership, somewhere between $1,075 and $1,275 every single month. Now here's the math that catches people off guard. If that total has to stay under 10% of your gross income, you multiply by 10. You'd need to be earning between $10,750 and $12,750 a month, which works out to roughly $129,000 to $153,000 a year for a single ordinary SUV. In the real world, a financially healthy household could stretch a little better credit, shorter commute, maybe a lower insurance rate. So, the realistic comfort zone using this rule is somewhere around $95,000 to $125,000 a year. Now, let's run the Wealth Builders rule, the 23-8. Shorten the loan from 4 years to 3. Your payment jumps from $725 up to about $935 a month because you're paying faster. And with the ceiling at 8% instead of 10%, your income requirement rises significantly. Just to make the payment fit, you'd want to be earning around $140,000 a year. Once you fold in insurance and maintenance, you're looking at $160,000 to $190. Zero to year for real comfort. Same car. One rule says 95K to 125K. The other says 160K to 190K. That gap is the entire debate between can I afford it and will this hold back my wealth building? But there's a third lens the Money Guy team uses that almost nobody talks about, and it answers a different question entirely. The 23/8 rule looks at monthly cash flow. This other test looks at your balance sheet and asks, is this car taking up too much of your overall net worth? Their guideline: all the vehicles you own combined should be worth no more than 50% of your gross annual income. For our $38,000 RAV4, the math is simple. $38, 00 divided by 0.5 equals $76,000 of household income as the mathematical floor, assuming no other vehicles, no toxic debt, and that you're actively investing. Here's a quick gut check across income levels. At $75,000 a year, this car is aggressive, probably too much. At $100,000, it might be manageable. At $150,000, we're in comfortable territory. Above $250,000, it's basically a rounding error in your budget. And one thing that's impossible to ignore right now: interest rates. In 2020 and 2021, you could finance a new vehicle at 0%, 1%, even 2%. The financing cost was almost an afterthought. That world is gone. At today's 6%, 7%, even 8% auto loan rates, financing has become one of the single largest hidden costs of any car purchase. If buying a new vehicle feels harder than it did a few years ago, you are not imagining it. The math has genuinely gotten harder. Now, some of you are thinking, this doesn't apply to me, I'm buying in cash. And honestly, I love that instinct. But paying cash doesn't automatically make a car affordable. It just changes how you're paying for it. A smart planner would still run this purchase through 4 lenses. Lens 1, income still matters. Picture 2 people who both have $38, 0 in savings. One earns $70,000 a year. That $38,000 represent close to half a year of take-home pay and years of saving. The other earns $300, 0 a year. That's maybe 2 months of surplus. Same cash, completely different reality. Lens 2, net worth matters even more. Here's the rough guide. Under $100,000 in net worth, this car is probably too expensive. Full stop. At $200,000 in net worth, it's still a significant purchase. At $500,000, it's reasonable. At $1 million or more, it's genuinely comfortable. A warning sign: when more than 25% of your net worth is sitting in a depreciating asset that loses value every single night. Lens 3, age changes everything. Buying a $38,000 car in cash at age 25 is not the same decision as buying it at 65. That same $38, 0 invested for 40 years at an 8% average annual return grows to approximately $825,000. That's the real price tag when you're in your 20s, not $38,000, but $825,000 in future wealth. By 65, your runway is shorter, your wealth is largely built. It's a completely different calculation. Lens 4, protect your cash reserves. The danger zone is buying the car in cash and wiping out your safety net in the process. A healthy cash purchase means you're still investing for retirement, you have no high-interest debt, and after writing that check, you still have a full emergency fund. If a crisis hit 1 week after buying the car, could you absorb it without panic? If the answer is no, then the car is still too expensive, even if you technically have the money. Let me zoom out and show you the full picture using the traditional 24/10 rule across a range of household incomes, keeping in mind this applies to all vehicles in your household combined, not just one. At $55,000 a year in household income, your responsible vehicle budget lands around $15, 0 to $22,000. At $70,000, you're in the $20,000 to $30,000 range. At $90,000, you can stretch to $28,000 to $36,000. You don't comfortably reach our $38,000 RAV4 until you're earning somewhere around $105,000 to $110,000 a year. Want a $55,000 loaded SUV or a $70 zeros in truck? The table says you'd need $116 to $180,000 in household income. Now here's what's fascinating and a little alarming. The average new vehicle in America today sells for $48,000 to $50,000, and the vast majority of the households buying them are clearly not earning $25, $0,000 a year. So, what is actually happening? People are using 72 and 84-month loans. They're making smaller down payments. They're pushing their transportation cost ratio well above 10%. They're leasing. And many are using dual incomes to stretch budgets that wouldn't work on one salary alone. Americans have drifted far from these guardrails, and I want to be real with you about something important. Most people are not following these rules, and even good financial planners don't always insist on rigid adherence. Life is lived in the gray area. If I told you, don't buy anything nice until you're completely debt-free and have $1 million invested, you'd rightfully turn off this video. Your life is happening right now. You need a reliable, safe vehicle. The better question isn't, can I technically afford this by the rule? It's, how do I buy this responsibly without derailing my long-term plan? That's the conversation worth having. Here are the 6 levers real financial planners actually pull. Lever 1, and this is the biggest one, keep the car longer. A $38, zero SUV you drive for 12 to 15 years is an entirely different financial decision than one you trade in every 3 to 5 years. Get it paid off. Then, keep driving it until it doesn't want to be driven anymore. Spread that depreciation across as many years as possible, and you'll be amazed what it does for your long-term wealth. Lever 2, buy reliable, not luxury. In the wealth-building phase of your life, there's a very real sticker price difference between a fully loaded Toyota, Honda, or Mazda and a premium luxury badge. A fully loaded Toyota or similar vehicle will deliver 80 to 90% of the experience of a luxury car at roughly half the long-term cost. Lower maintenance, lower depreciation, lower insurance. Don't confuse a luxury brand with a better quality of life. Lever 3, match the car to your income trajectory. If you're early in your career and you know a significant income bump is coming, a physician finishing residency, an attorney making partner, a tech worker due for a promotion, it can be okay to stretch a little, but be brutally honest with yourself. If your income has been flat for 3 years, don't pretend a bump is coming just to justify the purchase. Lever 4, make a bigger down payment at today's rates. Instead of the 20% minimum, can you get to 30%, 40%, or even 50% down? With 6% to 7% auto loan rates, a larger down payment dramatically reduces both your monthly cost and the total interest you pay. It can be the single move that makes a tighter loan term actually affordable. Lever 5, be very careful about extending the loan. Stretching from 48 months to 72 or 84 months does lower the monthly payment, but it's also exactly how millions of Americans end up permanently, carrying a car payment while struggling to invest for their future. If the only way to make a vehicle affordable is a 7-year loan, that is a sign you cannot actually afford this vehicle. Lever 6, protect your cash reserves first always. Whether you're financing or buying in cash, your emergency fund must remain intact. Your retirement contributions must keep flowing. You must have no toxic, high-interest debt. If one purchase breaks any of those, it doesn't matter how good the deal was, it was too expensive. Let me leave you with the one principle that ties all of this together. A vehicle should never meaningfully slow down your wealth building. That's it. If buying this car delays your ability to invest, if it drains your safety net and leaves you financially exposed, if it cranks up your financial stress every month, it's too expensive, full stop. But if your investments keep flowing, if your emergency fund stays intact, if your cash reserves can absorb a surprise, then go enjoy it. Buy the car that fits your real life. I've met and studied thousands of everyday millionaires, people who aren't famous, didn't inherit money, and aren't driving the flashiest vehicles on the road. Many of them are in modest $25,000, $35,000, or $45,000 vehicles, not because they can't afford more, but because they understand opportunity cost at a deep, almost instinctive level. They chose low fixed costs so their money could keep compounding. That is how ordinary people build extraordinary wealth. So, buy the car that protects your future. That balance, enjoying your life today while building real wealth for tomorrow, that's what financial peace actually feels like. If this video helped you think differently about one of the biggest purchases most of us will ever make, and if you know someone who's about to make a car buying decision, share this with them. It could save them years of financial stress.